call all the devotees, but I think here everyone knows. Only those who are coming from outside only may not know. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Gopijana Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Giridhari Gopijana Vallabha Giridhari Gopijana Vallabha Yashodanandana Vrajajaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajaranjana Yamuna Vira Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। So today we are reading from the book Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter number 4, text number 13. I don't know everyone has the app to open. You can open it, may be easy. 1, 4, 13 and 14. One, 4, 13 and 14. Canto 1, chapter 4, the appearance of Sri Narada, text number 13. Okay, don't worry, even if you are not able to open. Actually, around 16 years back, when I was attending the sessions for the first time, we did not have the smartphones. If you remember, we did not have smartphones. And we used to have that small, that Nokia 1110 phone, small, only for communication. So as we grew up, especially our generation, the technology also grew up, and now we are entering into the another era of artificial intelligence. We don't know what's going to happen. So at that time, our teacher, when he used to tell, so we have to hear attentively and repeat. But the problem is, there's one problem here. As the age progresses, there is one thing in Bhagavatam. Kalasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo. As our age progresses, our memory also, our focus also reduces. That's why we need smartphones to help us. Otherwise, if you simply hear and then repeat, that's the best thing actually. That way, at least we are focused. Okay, just out of my memory, I just remembered. Okay, so we'll only recite 13th verse and 14th. I will read the translation purport. तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
पृष्टो यत् इह किञ्चन
पृष्टो यत् इह किञ्चन
पृष्टो यत् इह किञ्चन
पृष्टो यत् इह किञ्चन
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचां
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचां
मन्ये त्वां विषये विषये वाचाम्
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम्
स्नातमन्यत्र छान्दसात्
स्नातमन्यत्र छान्दसात्
स्नातमन्यत्र छान्दसात्
स्नातमन्यत्र छान्दसात्
Any problems?
तत्सर्वं न समाक्षक्ष्व
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
दृष्टो यत् इह किञ्चन
दृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन
मन्ये त्वं विषये वाचाम्
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम्
स्नातम् अन्यत्र चान्तसात्
स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात् तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व दृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम् स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात् तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व दृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम् स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात्
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
पृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन
दृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन
मन्ये त्वं विषये वाचाम्
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम्
स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात्
स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात्
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
दृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन
दृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम्
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम्
स्नातमन्यत्र छान्दसात्
स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात्
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
तत्सर्वं न समाचक्ष्व
पृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन
दृष्टो यदिह किञ्चन
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम्
मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचाम्
स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात्
स्नातम् अन्यत्र छान्दसात्
Okay, what translation? Translation covered by his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Tad That Sarvam
all
Naha
Naha
unto us
unto us
Samachakshva
Samachakshva
clearly explained
explained
Krishtaha Question Yatiha
Yadiha
Hearing
hearing
Kinchana
Kinchana
all that Mani
Manye
Within
within
Dvam
Tvam
You
you
Vishaye
Vishaye
in all subjects
in all subjects
Vacham
Vacham
meanings of words
meanings of words
Snatam
Snatam
fully acquainted
fully acquainted
Anyatra
Anyatra
except
except
Chandasat
Chandasat
portion of the Vedas.
portion of the Vedas.
Translation. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Purport. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that between the Brahmanas and the Parivrajaka's. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, but the Parivrajakacharyas or learned preachers are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. As such, the Parivrajakacharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by the Brahmanas who are meant for administering Vedic rites. Yet it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. There is no difference also between the Vedic mantras and what is explained in the Puranas and Itihasa. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyandina Shruti that all the Vedas, namely the Sama, Atharva, Rig, Yajur, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., are emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only difference is that the Vedic mantras are mostly begun with Pranava Omkara, and it requires some training to practice the metric pronunciation of the Vedic mantras. But that does not mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas as stated before. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam, although he is already self-realized. Srila Sutta Goswami is following his footsteps, and therefore his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with metric pronunciation, which depends more on practice than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot like chanting. Okay, so the 14th words, I will just read translation. Translation, Sutta Goswami said, when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Vyasadeva was born to Parashara in the womb of Satyavati, the daughter of Vasu. ॐ अज्ञानतिरामस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी भाषातदेशकारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 Hare Krishna. So recently I was reading about this in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Murari Gupta was praying to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he's saying that there are so many devotees praying differently. One of the prayer he says that Tora Guna Gan means what? Offer, let me glorify your Lordship. Tora Guna. Please allow me to glorify your Lordship. So actually, I was thinking when this garland was given to me. Actually, these days garlands they don't smell anything. Really to say, but from the time this garland is given to me, of course, it's very special because it is offered to the Lord, and it is smelling like anything. I don't know. You are a little bit far, na? At least I am. You can say there's a pool of fragrance. I am sitting in that pool, and I am experiencing that fragrance. So one thing every day we offer flowers for one reason that so that our nose can be engaged in the service of the Lord. If you don't cook, the only way the nose can be engaged in the service of the Lord is by smelling, and that we don't get any fragrant flowers only. So I was thinking it's very fortunate. So why I told this shloka is it's I just remembered that like thank all of you that giving me an opportunity to speak so that I can engage my speech, my tongue, right, in the service of the Lord. And as a complimentary thing, you have given me a fragrant flower also to engage my nose in the service of the Lord. So double thanks. Okay. So actually, Krishna consciousness is very, very sweet. Krishna consciousness is very, very joyful. Why? Because every moment, every circumstance, in everything we can experience Krishna. Now the point is we don't know how to experience Krishna. That is why this entire training is required. If we can actually see Krishna, then we'll be very, very joyful. So but till that point, we need to know the art of always experiencing Krishna. Then our life is perfect. Problem is till that time is a challenge. So now the question comes, how do we get trained ourselves? For that, definitely we have to attend Srimad Bhagavatam session. So over a period of time, what happens? A devotee in the initial stages definitely shows much enthusiasm, but over a period of time, our taste in attending sessions or studying scriptures actually slows down. But for sure, these two slokas, and especially this sloka, there's a lot to learn. In this, there's a secret how actually we can progress. Because ultimately, we are here not for a 1 month, 2 month, or 1 year or 2 years. We want to practice this Krishna consciousness at least in this life till the last breath. And this is not going to be an easy task. To maintain consistency and with exponential enthusiasm till the last moment of life is not going to be so there's a secret here. So we'll see it today. So I just remember this one. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam tadeva shashvan manaso mahotsavam tadeva shokar nava shoshanam rinam yaduttama shloka shonu giyate. This is from 12th canto. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam. Actually, Krishna consciousness is ever fresh because Krishna is ever fresh. He never crosses the age beyond 16 years. So, just like Krishna is ever fresh, anything subject matter related to Krishna, either his holy name, his form, his qualities, his pastime, they are all ever fresh. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam. Point is whether we can experience this freshness or not is a challenge. Tadeva Shashvan Manaso Mahotsavam. It's a great festival for the mind. While I was coming to here Panathur, so I saw some auto union. I don't know what is the special day today. They are celebrating, and all of them are very joyful. They are decorating their autos. So where festival comes, right, everyone is a joyful. That's why in India we have lot of festival. But how many of us wants to have festival every day? For that, lot of homework is required. So, if you have to celebrate a festival, how much hard work you have to do? While I was entering your IBC, I saw still Janmashtami cut out. I was thinking you are celebrating still Janmashtami. But actually, every day is a Janmashtami in our life. That's what this verse is telling. Tadeva Shashwan Manaso Mahotsava. For a mind, this is a great festival, practicing Krishna consciousness. Tadeva Shokarnava Shoshanam Runam. Everyone is suffering. Shoka Arnava means it's an ocean of misery. Ocean of misery. If you start analyzing the problems of this material world, the list never ends. Ocean of misery. But what will happen? Krishna consciousness can do what? It can dry up. Have you seen any ocean get dried up? At least in Bangalore, I have seen so many lakes getting dried up. Right? So many. I heard that previously in Bangalore, so many lakes used to be there, but they are all dried up. But have you seen any ocean getting dried up? From my childhood, I'm still seeing the same Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean. They never dried up, even in the deadliest summer. But Krishna consciousness can dry up the ocean of fisheries. So what else is required? So this is secret. Bhagavatam is giving that secret. So you are running after so many things. No need to run. Come to me. So you'll experience our freshness. Every day can be festival. All miseries can be dried up. Shloka no shoshana na yaduttama shloka yashonu giyate. Just we have to do what? Always glorify the Lord. But the problem is this itself is a problem. To always glorify Lord, Krishna himself is also suggesting this formula. Machitta Madgata Prana Bodhyanta Parasparam. Problem is even when practicing devotees we meet, right? We don't get naturally what inclination to glorify the Lord. See, this is an official glorification. You are forced to hear, right? I am forced to speak. But the point is when we are actually informally also when we are actually discussing about Krishna, then that is a very good symptom of our life. That means we are able to progress. See, just like a mother, she always thinks about the child, she can speak about the child. So if our worshipable Lord is Krishna and if we are always thinking of him, naturally what will happen? We can only speak about him. So this is how we can understand. This is a simple formula. Whether one is practicing nicely or not, there are many parameters are there. But one of the important parameter is we can see a devotee practicing devotee and see what he is speaking. In 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, how much time is speaking about Krishna. We can also do experiment in front of go in front of the mirror and say what do I know about Krishna. So if you can actually able to discuss with other devotees about Krishna, then that means it's a very good parameter. So this is what we have to because we need to assess ourselves. Are we progressing in the right direction or not. As I said, we wanted to practice Krishna consciousness till the last minute of our breath. So for that, we need to know, are we going in the right track or not. That's why Rupa Goswami has composed so many books. One of the important thing is nectar of devotion. Right? So we need to assess ourselves. So now, uh, so this is a very important thing in these words. So what happening? This background of this is Sudha, like Shaunaka the rishis are asking questions to Sudha Goswami. So now this is one interesting thing here. Three sets of questions were asked before this verse. What are the three sets of questions? One thing they want to know about Vyasadeva, and second thing they want to know about Sukadeva Goswami, and third thing they want to know about Parikshit Maharaj. So Sudha Goswami answers to those three set of questions in this first canto. That's how this first canto addresses all the questions. So now in this portion, actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling one important thing, like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is talking about this. Why questions need to be asked? See, otherwise Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam could have been just like no, Krishna would have given class and then audience would have heard, or Arjuna would have heard, or even Sutta Goswami would have spoken and no questions from the audience. But interesting format of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. If you see, those two are, we have three main books: Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Out of those three books, the first two books, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, deals the subject matter in the question and answer format. So let's hear from this Chaitanya Charitamrita. प्रश्नोत्तरे भागवते करियाछे निर्धार याहर श्रवणे लोके लागे चमत्कार. So the form of Srimad Bhagavatam is in questions and answers. Thus the conclusion is established. By hearing this question and answers, one is highly astonished. The point is, it's very, very important to ask questions and answer. That is what this verse is also telling, and that's what so far before this verse we are hearing those questions. So conclusion is established when we have question and answer. Let's say if question is not there, but answer is given to you, will it strike? So let's say now we are sitting in the Bhagavatam session. If we ourselves don't have a question, even if speaker says something, what will happen? We may hear, but it will not be ingrained in our consciousness. So this is like something like prasadam is there. So you have already in the morning you have already had a full feast, but immediately after coming, Prabhuji is telling, please take prasad. What will you say? Full. You can't take. So similarly, only when there is hunger, if prasadam is there, then one will be able to relish. So similarly, this is a very important thing. If you don't have hunger to know, to learn, to ask questions, then what will happen? Even if answers are given, what will happen? Full. I don't need. We may not say that, but actually that will happen. So we can ask question to ourselves. How much so far I have attended many sessions. How many questions I have asked? How many things I am learning, or I am able to progress. In short. So this is a very important. So this is what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is also telling. Prashnottare. But what will happen when question and answers are asked? So he's telling one will be highly astonished. So when you actually deeply think about this, any question, for example, all the scientists and researchers they ask this question: how the creation has come into existence. Still, this astonishes all the scientists. Is it or not? Because there's no clear answer for the scientists to understand how the creation came into existence. There's a theory, but still they cannot prove that theory. There are so many experiments being done, but they are not. But they are astonished about this question. Recently, what is his name? Stephen Hawking. He died. He wanted to bring out a unified theory, which actually can explain the laws of cosmos and also the laws of small atomic particles, atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, like so many small subatomic particles also. But he could not bring out. He himself was fascinated that okay, one day I may be able to establish such a theory. But what I'm trying to say, this question actually excites, astonishes entire scientific community. So if we want to relish Bhagavatam, what we have to do? One important thing is we have to ask questions. If we are searching for answers, it won't be so palatable. What will be palatable is search for question. That's why Vedanta Sutra also starts with Atato Brahma Jignasa, inquiry. So, okay, somehow we came here, some devotees pulled because of the Gita quotes, fine. But now, after coming here, if you are not inquiring ourselves, what will happen? Mind will not feel some interest. When you are thinking about the subject matter, then the relish will come. So that's the important thing so far. That's why they are asking question, not one question. You see, entire so many questions they are asking. Already six set of questions they have asked, three set of questions they'll ask so many questions. Parikshit Maharaj 7 days he asked the questions. Right? At the fifth day also he's telling you, please explain me about Krishna's pastime in detail, right? So Parikshit Maharaj was worried whether Sukadeva Goswami will skip. He'll just say summary and that's it. No, I want to know in detail. And for the details, he asked the question. So if you want to know the details, we have to ask the question. So that is one thing. So now that's why Bhagavad Gita also have that questions. So now in this, one interesting thing is Saunakadi Rishis, they're asking that we know that you are expert in all subjects. So now who is this Saunaka? Is actually born in a Brahmana family. So now Suta Goswami is not born in a Brahmana family. So generally there is a thing that Vedas are actually ha. So now, but here in Bhagavatam we understand even the Brahmanas who are expert in the Vedas, they are mentioning you don't know some part of the Vedas, but still we are asking question to you. This is interesting. A Brahmana is asking, not only Brahmana, there are so many Brahmanas are there. They are asking a question to a person who is not a Brahmana. So in our childhood, we see, now we don't see so much. Now we are in the rapid progress of the material civilization. In our childhood, still what we used to see in villages and other small towns, the caste system is so prevalent. Some people were not allowed into the temples, and they used to say that your actually society is doing bias. Why we can't be allowed? That's why later this all the other concepts came. Later they were allowed to temples. So of course there is some mess up happened. Everyone can be allowed to the temple, and everyone has a right to learn about Krishna. That's the thing. So whether one is born in a Brahmana family or not born in a Brahmana family, for God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, it is never a parameter. So actually, on the strength of this statement only, like no, for example, all the devotees in ISKCON they sit on the Vyasasana. Most of them may not have taken birth in the Brahmana family. So otherwise, what kind of qualification we have to sit on that? So on the basis of the statements from Bhagavatam. So they did not deny because of the inferior birth. This is you see, Bhagavatam is a very open-minded. So people say Hinduism. We don't say Hinduism. Sanatana Dharma is little narrow-minded. No, actually it's a very broad-minded. Here everyone is allowed. So they did not deny him because of his inferior birth. So even in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, if you see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made Haridas Thakur as the Namacharya, who actually born in Muslim family. But still, you see, our parampara exemplifies that we are not concerned about the birth. We are not concerned about your community. We are concerned about you as a soul. Whether you have interest to know about God, to love God, that is where it's very interesting. So in our Gaudiya Parampara, after coming in touch, I could understand, yes, there are so many misconceptions in the society. Now it is our responsibility definitely to break such kind of misconceptions. So Now, someone may say, how on the basis of Bhagavad Gita people were having such kind of conception? No, Bhagavad Gita clearly talks about Chaturvarna Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. It's very clearly mentioned. It's not your birth by qualities and your work. Then only will be decided. All of us heard. Simply by taking birth in a doctor family, you cannot become a doctor. But you have to be trained. So now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said this: who can become a teacher, who can become a guru, who can become Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, Sudra Kenjanai, say Krishna Tattva, say Guru Hoy. So it's a very clear that whether one is a Brahmana, Sannyasi, or a Sudra, doesn't matter, but one has to be expert in the science of Krishna Tattva. One has to be expert in the science of Krishna consciousness, then only one can become a teacher. So this is a very clear instruction for us. So if we also become expert in the science of Krishna consciousness, then we can also go out and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's expectation is that all of us have to preach Amarajna Guru Bhaya. So we have to become expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. So there's a very interesting saying that Shatkarma Vipuno Nipta Mantra Tantra Visharada Vaishnava Guru Nashat Swakacho Vaishnava Guru. So even though one may be born in a Brahmana who is expert in Shatkarma, what are the Shatkarmas? That Yajan, Yajan, Patan, Patan, everything. He is expert in doing his duties. But one qualification is not there. What is that qualification is not there? He is not a devotee. Then, even though he is a Brahmana, if he is not a devotee, what? He cannot be a guru. On the contrary, even though one is born in a dog eater's family, but one is expert, Starman. What is that? One is expert in the science of Krishna consciousness, then one can become guru. So this is a very interesting. So that's why Prabhupada went all across the world. He trained all the hippies, and then those hippies are now sannyasis. They are actually the teachers of our movement. They are guiding our movement. So you see how there were misconceptions in the society, but our parampara it's very very clear. That's why the Shaunakadi Rishis when they are asking to a Suta Goswami, it's very clear. A Brahmana asking to a person who is not born in a Brahmana family, but is expert. That's why they are saying you are expert. This is very important. So all of us also have what is that learning for us? Because we ours is a preaching mission. We have to go out and preach. Marathon season is also going on. So now we have to become expert. For that, we ourselves also have to study the subject matter very, very carefully. Right? So now in this there is a one interesting thing comparison between Vedas and Puranas. Prabhupada talking about this in the purport. So what is Veda? Veda is a Veda is knowledge. So there are different departments of knowledge. Complete set of knowledge is there in Vedas. And who is given Prabhupada is telling it's breathing. So it is coming from the breathing of the Lord. So which verse in Bhagavatam says like that? Vedas are the coming from the breathing of the Lord. Which words of the Bhagavatam is talking about this? Anyone knows? Hmm? Yes, very good. So first you have the first canto. The first verse of this canto itself, first verse of the Bhagavatam itself. Tene Brahma Hruday Adi Kavaye. So these Vedas came from the breathing of the Lord. So Veda means a knowledge, but how many Vedas are there? If you see now in this chapter, Narad Muni comes and then he explains to Vyasadeva. But Vyasadeva, when he sits in meditation, he observes that degradation of the Kali Yuga that is going to happen. That's why he understood. I was quoting this Manda Sumanda Matiya, they are unfortunate, lazy people, they are not interested. So he understood that now if we preserve the Vedas in the same way, by like the Shruti, they'll never be able to learn. That's why he has composed and also divided one Veda into four Vedas. And of course, each of the four Vedas also have many subdivisions. Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Upanishads, all these subdivisions are there. So now, where are these Puranas? So Bhagavatam is Purana. Veda is a complete set of knowledge, which also has Upanishads. So, and the summary of the Vedas is there as part of in a code format in the as Vedanta Sutra, which starts with Bhagavatam also starts with the Vedanta Sutra, natural commentary, Janmadhyasya Yatah. So now, what is this Purana? Purana means it's a very old. Purana in Hindi also we say Purana, but Purana also means जो पूरन करता है, that which supplements the Vedas is actually called Purana. So what is the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? If you see, Bhagavad Gita is also called as Gita-Upanishad. It's an Upanishad. If you see the way of Bhagavad Gita is a Upanishadic format. That means the principles are given. You don't see any demonstration of the principles. So similarly, entire Vedas they talk about the principles, but Puranas what do? They demonstrate the principles. The principles are given, but Puranas they talk about the narrations, the history of the people, of the devotees who have applied their principles from the Vedas or scriptures and how they have perfected their life. So it's actually practical demonstration. So principles and the application of the principles is part of the Purana. So now, is there any principle we know in Vedas which is actually demonstrated in Bhagavatam? So when I was preparing for this session, I was also thinking, is there any statement which in Vedas? There are many statements in Vedas. Of course, we have not read Vedas for sure. Because here Prabhupada also mentions for Vedas, Veda starts with Pranava. Of course, and everyone cannot read Vedas. Actually, before reading Vedas also, one has to study, there are Vedangas, six Vedangas. One of them is Vyakarana, Nyaya. There are six Vedangas are there. So definitely we have not read. We directly came, we read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I was thinking, what is that statement in Vedas actually which we can explain it from Bhagavatam? Because Vedic statement, Bhagavatam is a Puran. Now the question is, we are not worried about other Purans. We are worried about Bhagavata Puran. How Bhagavata Puran is a demonstration of the principles mentioned in the Vedas. When I was thinking, one statement that struck me, then I was thinking about that. So do you know any statement which has a demonstration in Bhagavatam? So there is a principle in Veda, but that is actually demonstrated or applied or shown in terms of narration or a history. Do you know any principle like that? So I am asking question. No, why I am asking question? Actually, just now we discussed the question and answer format is actually what we can establish. It can actually ingrain. If you don't ask question, it's simply here. What will happen? So that's why today I'm trying to ask one or two questions. Okay. Is there any principle in Vedas which you have read in Bhagavatam, which is an application of the principle?
Krishna says, I am to be known of all the Vedas.
That is in Bhagavad Gita. Yes.
So we can see all the devotees who have already, who are already knowing Krishna through the practice of devotion service in Krishna.
Yes. This is also a good thing. Vedascha sarve ahameva vedo. Yes. So we have. This making noise. It's you can. Do you need fans? By the way, it's cold only. No? If anyone needs fan, I think maybe. Vedascha sarve ahameva vedo. Yes, true. Devotees, they are only interested in knowing Krishna, and we see so many pastimes. Like for example, in Chaitanya's Mahaprabhu's pastimes, like there are devotee like Kolavecha Sridhar. He has not gone through any Vedas, but they. So yes, so it's a demonstration of that principle, their entire narration. Any other thing? Huh? Varnashrama Dharma, but Bhagavatam, Varnashrama Dharma is there, but that is not the theme of Bhagavatam. Yes, yajna, sacrifice. Yes, sacrifices are discussed in the Vedas. Yajno vai Vishnu. Yajno vai Vishnu. Krishna himself is yajna. Very naturally. So that's why we have in 10th canto, what is that verse in Bhagavatam which talks about Sankirtan Yajna? Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Pashadam Yajnai Sankirtana Praye Yajantihi Sumedasaha. The intelligent people participate in what? Sankirtan Yajna. So yes, very nice. So in Bhagavatam, we know the devotees who have performed yajna. Not only Sankirtan yajna, we know devotees have performed yajna. Who have done this Prithu Maharaj, like where Indra comes and try to steal that horse. 100, almost 100 Ashwamedha yajnas he performs. So different devotees have performed sacrifice. Any other principle? Ishopanishad, yes, Ishavasha Idam Sarvam, yes. Everything belongs to Krishna. And how demonstration happened in Bhagavatam? Yes, because everything belongs to Krishna, that's why Yudhishthir Maharaj has performed Rajasuya Yajna. Because what is the main purpose of performing Rajasuya Yajna? Main purpose is that all the Pandavas they wanted to establish Krishna's supremacy. That's why no one wants to accept the supremacy of Krishna. That's why this Shishupala was saying so many things. How can this boy, this cowherd boy who is after the girls, how can he take the Agra Puja? That's why everyone was angry. Then Krishna said, "Stop." Yes, so because they wanted to establish Krishna's supremacy, that Rajaswaya. So like that, there are many principles. Anyone wants to say any other principle?
Prabhu, Navaveda Bhakti.
Now with the bhakti, it's not directly talked in Vedas. Definitely. So Prabhuji is quoting from Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita to that Bhagavatam's Ambarish Maharaj explanation. So, okay, very nice. So all of you also helped me to remember some of the pastimes of the Lord spontaneously. But I was thinking this one statement which actually struck me that Raso Vai Saha. Raso Vai Saha. Saha means that Supreme Lord. Vai means certainly Rasa. Rasa means what? Mellow. So Krishna himself is the Rasa. So Krishna himself is Rasa. This statement is there in Vedas, but this demonstration is there in Bhagavatam. How? That we know five types of rasa, Shanta rasa, Rasa rasa. So Krishna exhibited the pastimes in all of the rasa. So like the Gopas of Vrindavan they feel Aho Bhagyam, Nanda Gopa, Vrajokasam, Yanmitram Paramanandam, Purna Brahma, Sanatanam. What a great fortune, what a great fortune. Whose fortune? The residents of Vrindavan's great fortune is that the Purna Brahma Sanatanam, the absolute truth from whom everything came, who has punished Kaliya left and right. That Lord is playing with the residents of Vrindavan as friends. So this is about Sakyarasa. Like Krishna has performed all such wonderful pastimes. Just like we just now we completed this Damodar month. So in that one verse is there. Rudantamoho netra yugmanujantam Karambojayugmena satankanetram. After that, iti drikshvalila kunde. So Krishna performed all the wonderful pastimes to what? Leela Ananda Kunde, to merge the residents of Raja in the ocean of Ananda Kunde, in the ocean of bliss. So the same Supreme Lord performing pastimes to give pleasure to the devotees. This is called Raso Vaisaha. This also tells that that's what even Bhagavatam 1.1.3 also says that Pibatam Bhagavatam Rasamalem. So ultimately in Krishna consciousness we want to experience Rasa. In the material world, Rasa is there. like no between wife and husband, between mother and child. But that is all temporary. So Bhagavatam is encouraging us to reestablish our relationship with Krishna, and in that relationship experience the rasa. So in current state it is very difficult for us because we have not even re-established our relationship. But Bhagavatam is encouraging us to. That's why it takes us to the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So raso vaisaha. If we are with Krishna, then what will happen? Naturally we will be joyful. If we are not with Krishna, naturally what will happen? We will naturally be distressful. That is the secret. So raso vaisaha. So this is one principle which is actually demonstrated in Bhagavatam in very very detail. So Vedas versus Puranas. Vedas talks about the principles. Puranas talks about the demonstration of that principle through some devotees, through some circumstances like that. So even Matsya was interacting with Satyavrata, King Satyavrata. So how Krishna interacted with the devotees, that is demonstrated, how the devotees relished the pleasure in association with Krishna, that is a demonstrated. So that's why Vedas are like in a supplement to the Puranas are like supplement to the Vedas. If one simply reads Vedas, doesn't read Purana, then what will happen? His understanding won't be it will remain a theoretical knowledge. In our college also, just we go to the college, we learn theoretical subject. But until and unless if we go to the lab and experiment, what will happen? That theoretical it will remain as a theory. So we need some demonstration. So that's where toward the end, Prabhupada is talking. This is a very important thing for all of us that realization is more important than parrot like chanting. This is a very important statement. So that's why the secret of our progress in Krishna consciousness is here. That realization is more important than parrot like chanting. All of us are chanting every day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So now the question is, are we chanting like a parrot? No, we have to ask question to ourselves. Initially it is fine because initially our mind is so kachda. Full dirt is there. Initially it's very difficult to uh, chant without parrot like chanting. For sure it is. But for the devotees who want to progress, who want to practice Krishna consciousness, like no relish to attain the goal of our life, that is Krishna Prema. For that, the statement is very, very important. So that's why Prabhupada has written one thing. What is that? Science of self-realization. We are not simply learning Dehi knows Yata Dehe. Yes, no, all of us must have learned. If you are not learned, please learn. Dehi knows Yata Dehe. We know we are soul, but have we experienced that we are the soul? That means lot of work is yet to be done. So actually, this makes us humble. When we know, when we know we have not yet realized that I am the Atma, but I theoretically speaking, does that mean I should not? I should stop speaking. If you stop speaking, you will never realize. But does that mean I should not realize it? No. We should not stop in simply reading, learning, and speaking. Rather, we should progress to the stage of realizing. That's why when Prabhupada used to speak, Prabhupada, most of the lectures he spoke about that. And hippies got that essence and immediately they became devotees. So that's why our question comes in our Bhakti Vriksha, why are we not able to retain members? In our Gita course, why are we not able to retain members? See, one point is whether someone become a devotee or not, that should bring us some realization to us. Yes. What it should help us to know? There is a problem with me as a speaker. Yes, some are able to continue, but there is a problem with me. What is the problem? I have not yet realized. If I have realized, if I am speaking, then what will happen? That will definitely enter into the. So does that mean we should stop our devotees to become a Bhakti Vriksha leader or a Gita course mentor? No. That does not mean that. But at the same time, we should not stop there itself. So this is a very, very important thing for all of us, that realization is more important than parrot like chanting. You know what is meant by parrot like chanting? Parrot, huh? Simply he'll repeat. So it is a mechanical repetition of words. Parrots, if you teach parrots, they'll mechanically repeat. Rama, they say Rama. Mechanically repeat, but what is the main thing? There's no involvement of the mind. There's no understanding of that prayer. No emotions, yes. Actually, emotions and feelings are not there. So this is also applicable to us. Are we chanting without understanding? When we are chanting, whether our mind is engaged or not, or when we are chanting, our feelings are there or not. So no, initially definitely we don't want to speak about the feelings, but in the same dry mechanical way, we cannot continue to chant. What is the problem if we continue to chant in a dry and mechanical way? What will happen? Yes, the problem is we will not be able to relish. Once mind is not able to relish, what will happen? Mind is able to relish something else. What is that verse in Bhagavad Gita? Ha, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya. So until we experience rasa or mellow or happiness, joy in Krishna consciousness, what will happen? Naturally, our mind will be attracted to enjoying the matter. Is it or not? Like at least I can say I'm not 100% free from sense gratification. Gross or subtle, still it there. But now the point is I should assess myself. Where am I? Like for example, I came from AECS to Panathur. I have set my Google Map location as IBC Panathur. But I also know my current location. I also have to know the goal. I also have to know my current state. Then only I can make progress to walk in that direction. Let's say I know the goal, but I don't know where am I. Then you'll say, Aram say, everything is fine. I am a good devotee in Krishna consciousness. But then we will be in illusions. No one will say. Only until and unless you are very closely associated with some very close senior devotee, they will say. But otherwise, in general, no one will say. But it's a big risk. We may be under the illusion that I am progressing nicely, but I am not progressing. What is the test? Test is our chanting. In chanting, our mind doesn't. Chanting during chanting, our mind still roaming. Is it or not? Mind is still roaming. So it's a very very important thing. So realization is more important than parrot like chanting. But for us, we should avoid parrot like chanting. For that, that's why Prabhupada said, what is the meaning of this prayer? Engage in your devotional self. This is an understanding. But while we are chanting, how we can chant avoiding this parrot. So that's why we have different prayers, different feelings exhibited by the devotees. One of the feeling exhibited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu telling, Aye Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Avamadu Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sita Doli Sarvish. So while chanting means point is our mind cannot be blank. That is the main point. Initially it is fine, but as we want to progress, mind can never be blank. If our mind is blank, even if you are chanting, our rounds will get completed, but what will happen? It is a parrot like chanting. That will not give much effect. It will give effect because it's a name of the Lord, but it will not give much effect. And we are not interested in small effect. We are interested in why we are interested in that next verse we come. I will also tell you. Why we have to be, uh, why we want more result out of our chanting. So, so somehow we have to engage our mind while chanting, either remembering that, oh, what I am doing for your pleasure. Please engage me in your devotional service. I am a fallen servant. Kindly pick me and place me at your lotus feet. In our Namacha Abhinnatva Namanamina, we can also remember that Krishna is not different from his holy name. So that means what? When I am chanting, I have to remember that Krishna is hearing my chanting. That is what Abhinnatva Namanam. That means Krishna is personally present and Krishna is hearing. It is true or not? It is true because as a Paramatma is hearing what I am doing, I am chanting. So with this feeling, with this remembrance that Krishna is not different from his holy name, what? Then what will happen? Our mind will be engaged. I am not only this, there are multiple things happening. So in short, what I am trying to say, mind has to be engaged, not only in chanting. Now all of us are hearing in the Bhagavatam session. Are our minds are engaged? The question also is that when I am doing some practical service, practical service of serving, is my mind engaged? So if my mind is not engaged, if I am only doing physical activity, yes, it's a service, but it is not complete. The complete service is done with manasa, vacha, and gira. So through body, through action, through speech. So then we are only doing partial service. So in every service, what has to be added? The engagement of the mind. That's why after Shravanam and Kirtan, what comes? The next Smaran. So some or other we have to remember, engage the mind in the service of the Lord while we are doing all other activities. Then what will happen? We will be coming out of this problem that parrot like chanting, robot like service. It's not there here, sorry. Parrot like chanting, robot like service. You know how robot does service? You know, now humanoids are going to enter the human society. It's already there in Japan. Our semiconductor organizations are already working. Now IoT field is going on. If you order something, they will come and give you. You don't need a maid actually now, humanoid. So it is like a robot like service. So if mind is not engaged, what will happen? The service will become a robot like service. That's why Krishna is telling Manmana Bhava Manva, to engage your mind in thinking of me. But mind has a three functions. What are the three functions? Thinking, feeling, and willing. So that means thinking is only part, but the feelings for the Lord. What kind of feelings you can have for the Lord? By chanting Krishna, I am your servant. Amito Tomar, Tomito Amar. I belong to you, and you belongs to me. This is the feeling of the devotee for the Lord. A devotee feels Krishna belongs to me, and I belongs to not corporate. I belongs to Krishna. This is a feeling. So with these feelings, we can also chant. So there are different kind of feelings. How to think about the Lord in our scriptures. Then what will happen? Our chanting will not be like parrot like chanting. Then we can realize. Even in this reading Bhagavatam also, we cannot read, oh, every day I should read one or two verses, so I'll read as a robot. That will not give much effect. So we should inquire what is being talked about here. What kind of quality, Krishna's quality is glorified in this verse. What is this message for me, which I can apply in my day-to-day life? If you are reading but unable to connect in our day-to-day life, then that means that reading is not. That is called Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasam. So, in practical words, reading should be followed by at least what is the takeaway for me in my life, what can I apply in my life, and then application. So these all things will help us to what? Realize. So like no, most of you must be knowing the cycle, right? Cycle, swimming. So if you have read the book of how to swim, can you swim? Can you swim without reading the book? Is there possibility? I have read swimming like that. No one reads about swimming, but whatever he hears, what will happen? Like my coach told me on the first day, what you do? Just put your hands like this, legs in the flat, and then what you do? Legs you will flash. So while doing that, and another tip he will give. So what will happen? That we will actually start swimming. So similarly, the theory will become a realization when we hear, apply that, and practice. Then what will happen? The theory will eventually become a realization. So don't we want to experience that I am a Atma? Don't we want to experience Krishna? Don't we want to see Krishna personally? Yes, we want to see, right? And Brahmaji, when he was meditated for thousands of years, after that he saw personally Lord Vishnu, right? We see that Garbhodara Sai Vishnu that comes in the second canto. So ours is not simply talking, but actually our parampara wants to take us to this realization. You can actually experience the Supreme Lord. That's why Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling Pratyaksha Avagamam. Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam, Pratyaksha Avagamam. Can you imagine if you one time you have seen Krishna, what will happen? Whatever Narada has experienced, that hankering to attain Krishna will, right? Of course, for us to see Krishna will take time, but we can experience, we can realize some of the concepts mentioned in. So we should not stop ourselves in reading there. No, rather we want to realize. When we realize, then our chanting won't become mechanical, parrot-like chanting. So if I say some take home away for us today, this is a this very important thing. For that, what we have to do, we have to read the Krishna's pastimes where how Krishna is interacting with the devotees, what kind of feelings are exchanged between Krishna and his devotees. For example, when Sudama went to Dwaraka and then he came back, he was thinking, how my Lord is so nice that he has not given me even a penny also. One penny also did not give me. Let's say you have gone, like no, Dronacharya also gone to ask something for his friend Drupada, and after he became morose, and then now I should do something for him. But Sudama, on the other hand, when he went to Krishna and came without any penny, he did not blame anything Krishna. What he actually thought, that's a very beautiful description. Please go and read. He's telling how my Krishna is so wonderful that if he gives me wealth, I would have puffed up. That's why Krishna did not give me such a wonderful, feeling of Sudama for Lord Krishna. So entire 10th canto, that's why Prabhupada asked us to read Krishna book, which actually talks about the exchanges between Krishna and his devotees. That actually enlivens our chanting. So similarly, when we are reading about acharyas, then what will happen? That actually enlivens. So in short, what I wanted to say is, if we want to avoid parrot-like chanting, what we should do? We should also engage our mind, and no one can engage your mind. No one can engage me, my mind. Everyone has to work individually to engage ourselves while chanting, while discussing for sure. Okay, this is that 14th verse. A small thing only I will just tell, but one important thing here. So interesting thing here is the ages: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. What happens? This is cycle. But in general, this is the proof. Like no, I was reading this verse. One person asked me this question: where is that proof? One of the BV members in AECS, he asked this question. Probably I saw one video that yugas they actually exchange. Like, in general, what happens? Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. But what happened in this cycle? What happened? Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. Treta and Dwapara actually they overlap. So Prabhupada is talking. They actually third millennium appeared prior to the second millennium. So this is the verse which actually talk about this exchange of the millenniums. Satyoga Tritiya. So why it is a special? This is talking about time calc. One of the concept of Bhagavad Gita is what? Kala, the time. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. What is the duration of the Brahma? 1,000 Divya Yugas. And 1,000 Divya Yugas are divided into what? 14 Manvantaras. And now we are in the which Manvantara? Seventh Manvantara. And which is in the seventh Manvantara, we are in the 28 Divya Yuga. So you see, for seventh Manvantara by Vaivasvata Manu, in the 28, we are here. In the 28th cycle only what happens? This Treta and Dwapara they exchange. So this is the time when Krishna appears. And the fortunate thing is not only Krishna appears, in the same cycle, in the same time frame, who appears? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So, in all the other cycles, Krishna, the son of Yashoda, he won't appear. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, the son of like the original Krishna won't appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's why it is a very very rare. So our fortunate situation is what? We are also in the same time frame. That is our fortune. But one devotee, Vrindavan Das Thakur, is actually feeling sad. Krishna came, I could not see him, I could not participate in his activities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, I could not see him, I could not participate in his activities. Just there is one Bengali verse is there. So he is expressing his lamentation. What is the lamentation? I am such an unfortunate person. I could not see Krishna, meet Krishna, be with him, participate in his activities. Neither with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So for us, little extent, if we Prabhupada also came, but our unfortunate situation is we did not get a chance to see Prabhupada, meet Prabhupada, even glance from a distance, right? So this is our unfortunate position. But we are also fortunate because we are in the same time frame. So we are fortunate also, we are unfortunate also. Both. So this is called rasa. In rasa, there is not only one emotion will be there, there are multiple emotions will be there. So that is how we are fortunate, unfortunate. That's why there is a great responsibility that parabhavas tavad abodha jatam. We cannot waste our human form of life. Human form of life in this era, in this time frame is very, very rare. So that's why there is an emergency. Why we can't progress slowly? Why we have to progress fast? Why we have to progress fast? Because I was asking this question. Why we have to progress fast? This is the answer. What is that answer? Because we don't know when we take another birth whether we will be able to take birth in the same time frame of Krishna, Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada. So we don't know. So that's why it's a very, very important for us to perfect our life in this time frame itself. And then that's why we have to speed up. For that, we cannot simply remain on the theoretical platform. Rather, we should realize this message. If you don't realize this message, if you don't put endeavor from our side, I can tell you nothing magic will happen. We can only see ourselves. Nothing magic will happen. We have to put endeavor. That's why every year we are celebrating Damodar pastime, stressing. Please put endeavor in progress. Without endeavor, nothing can happen. Mercy will also not flow. Okay, we have to put endeavor. So, one small last thing. Now, because book distribution season is going on, so I was reading this Leela Mruta. In that one time, one reporter asked this question. Of course, there is a connection why we are discussing this also. One time, reporter asked this question. Your people, your disciples, your people, Hare Krishna people, they go on to the streets. They are disturbing everyone. They are disturbing everyone. They do sankirtan, they do this, that. They are disturbing everyone. Is it not a botheration for all of them? So I am telling you exactly from Prabhupada what Prabhupada said. See, here is a very good book. You will benefit. Here is a very good book. You will benefit. If you like, you can take. What is your problem? So what is wrong here? Prabhupada is telling. Tell me, what is wrong? If I give something very nice to you, is that wrong? You read any book, we have got 50 books at that time, Prabhupada. Now we have more than 80, 90 different channels. And you find out any fault in that? No. Now Prabhupada is questioning. If you are distributing some bad literature which is against social welfare, you can object. Are we distributing some literature which has some bad things in that? Bring all our books and see. Any page you open, you will find something good. So why are you denying to distribute such literature for the benefit of people in general? What is wrong? So you see how Prabhupada is so convinced. Of course, it is true. People may object why devotees are going out and distributing books. But this is the same question we are asking. What is the problem? We have experienced something nice, we want to give you. What is wrong? If you like, you take. If you don't like, don't take. Still, your free will is there. No one is pushing upon you, pouncing upon you. If you take or die, we are not telling like that. But take, it will benefit you. But at least you can explore that. So now they are saying that, oh, you take donation for that. Prabhupada is telling that some people are paying. That is their hard-earned money. If they are paying, what is the botheration for you? They are paying. Right? So Prabhupada is giving different kind of logics to tell that how these books are very, very good. So one reporter asked, what he asked, the same reporter continued. Prabhupada, if you die, what will happen to your movement? This is the famous statement Prabhupada is telling. I shall live from my books and you will utilize. I mean, that is some other place. This is where Prabhupada said, I shall live from my books and you will utilize. So Prabhupada is telling that I won't die. So, and then one last question that reporter asked. Prabhupada is always fond of taking some interviews. And reporter is asked, what kind of social welfare are you doing? You are not doing any social welfare, you are like a parasite in the society. You know what Prabhupada said? What social work you are doing? You are doing producing hippies and criminals. Is that social work? Is that social work? So, social work means population must be very, very peaceful. They do not have any bad habits. You see, our young men, they don't have any bad habits. Students, his Prabhupada is telling one incident from his contemporary time. You see, some of the students, they are studying psychology, but at the end of the psychology study, what they are doing? They are going to the top of the tower and jumping from there. And the disciple is adding what he is adding. You know what Prabhupada is explaining? Is explaining because of this reason only that university at the top of the tower they have covered that space with the glass so that no one can jump. So you please tell me who is doing social work. We are doing the best social work. So I was so inspired by when I was reading this. So we are actually doing the best social work. We should have that kind of conviction. So in short, today what we have learned, one most important thing we have learned is realization is more important than parrot like chanting, and we are in a very very special time frame. So we should use this opportunity to speed up our progress, and definitely for this, while we are also progressing our spiritual life, we should also take these wonderful books and distribute in the streets with the conviction what we are doing is the best social work and this is going to make the build the character in the society, then society can be peaceful. Otherwise the society is filled with all criminals, all people who are frustrated, eventually they attempt suicide. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Any questions or comments?
Prabhuji, we look forward for your classes. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was such a wonderful, excellent, enlightening class. We enjoyed a lot, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Prabhu, I have this question like Brahmana but not a Vaishnava cannot become a guru. So, can I have an example, Prabhu, who is a Brahmana and not a Vaishnava? Any example from that you have heard, Prabhu?
We have this the last Brahmana who is the Chanakya. He's a Brahmana but is not a Vaishnava.
So, how about impersonalism?
Yes, definitely. This is a very classical example. They are the many of the impersonalists. They are from the Brahminical background, but they don't worship Krishna. The means they may worship Krishna in impersonal feature, but that is not that is an offense. Mayavadam Asat Shastra.
But they are also guru for their disciples.
But the problem is what they are teaching itself is a that's what I said. Mayavadam Asat Shastra. Ultimately, they are doing an offense at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So Guru has to take a disciple to the Supreme Lord. Ultimately, what they are doing, they are only cheating their disciples. So in that sense, Avaishnava Guru Nasha Swapacho Vaishnava.
So how about this Brahmavadis? No? They are also impersonalists.
Yes, but the difference is in the Brahmavadis, they know that Krishna is ultimately a person, but they are interested in the impersonal feature like four Kumaras.
So that means they are not as offensive as Mayavadis.
They are not offensive.
So they are gurus only.
They can. Okay, you are telling they are attracted to the Brahman feature. Yeah, that's because Sukadeva Goswami also initially was. You see, Sukadeva Goswami initially is Brahmavadi. We are not saying Mayavadi. It's a Brahmavadi. But in English, both terms are like used the impersonalism only. But eventually, when he got attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing those two verses, then he became a great devotee. Then he became a teacher. So now your question is whether they can become a teacher, guru or not. But the problem is they can become a teacher, and which is not against the scripture, but they can only teach till the point of Brahman. They can never be able to teach beyond about the other features.
Since they are not offensive to the Lord, they can be accepted as well.
Yes, that's why we have four Kumaras have also disciples. Like four Kumaras, of course. But in Bhagavatam, what comes when the four Kumaras became a devotee, then they have this Kumara Sampradaya is there. In Bhagavatam, we see that four Kumaras teaching. They take the lessons from this Ananta Shesh and they also propagate the teaching. And of course, we have Kumara Sampradaya. But that is later after they became devotees. But before that, they can only teach, but they can only teach till the Brahman platform. They will not be able to teach.
One more question, last question like this is each time Krishna appears in the seventh Manvantara 28th Yuga, there will be exchange of these two yugas.
Yes, ma'am.
There will be exchange.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is it so?
Because Krishna is special. To tell I am special,
Oh,
that is the reason. Because see, in one more thing also, if you see in Krishna book, Prabhupada talks about it. There is a one star called Rohini. The Rohini star. Actually, at the time of the appearance of the Lord, all the constellations were proper, and that Rohini was under the control of Brahmaji. So when Krishna appears, there should be some speciality is there. So that's why this exchange. You understand? To tell that this age is very very special.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will not appear every time after Krishna.
Every time after Krishna, the original when Krishna appears, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appears. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appearance is also 28th
Every day
cycle.
of Brahma, when Krishna appears, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will also appear.
Yes, immediately. Thank you. So if you are asking question, that is actually it gives little subject matter interest. Like creates interest. Yes.
Guruji, we discussed Vedas containing the disciplines. We understand there are four Vedas, Sam, Veda. What's the difference between them?
So, first, as I told, one important thing is we personally we have not read Vedas, but one thing I can tell you, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, and Sama Veda. Sama Veda talks about the music. In Bhagavatam, this much I know. From Bhagavatam, when Garuda flips his wings, what will happen? That flipping sound of the Garuda is actually what? Sama Veda. That means it talks about the music. So, if I have to tell, Om Sahasra Purusha Sahasra Shirsha, like something that meter will be there. There is lot of airy sound will be there. That's why it's like it is compared to the flipping of the. That much I know, Prabhu. In Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, what happens, right? There are the prayers to Agni, prayers to Surya, prayers to Indra. Krishna name is indirectly used, like Yajna, like that it's indirectly used. Only a couple of places where we see the name Shama. Otherwise, the name Krishna directly won't be there in the Vedas. So details of the Vedas, as I said, we have never read and we don't have that expertise.
Another question. You said that Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita contains questions and answers.
Yes.
Are we talking about questions that Arjuna had? Those questions?
Yes, Arjuna, what kind of question you are talking about, Arjuna? What kind of question Arjuna asked, which you are asking in this?
Srimad in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna has so many questions.
Yes,
And
yes,
answers.
yes, yes.
Are we saying that both are the questions and answers?
Yes, Arjuna asked the question, Krishna answered. Yes, that is the question and answer. Here in Bhagavatam, you know how many people have asked the question? Saunakadi Rishis asked the question to Suta Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj asking to Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami inquiring from Vyasadev. Uddhava is asking from Vidura. Yudhishthir Maharaj asking from Narada. Narada is asking from those Bhakti Vedantas. And like that, the list goes on. So many devotees have asked questions. So many devotees have asked questions.
What if someone has a question in his own class?
Yeah, this is interesting question. Is there any question that can exist which is not answered in the Vedas? For sure, it can't exist. You know, even one cannot bring up a philosophy which actually can't be explained from the scriptures. Our human brain is very tiny, nothing. Okay? But it's an interesting question. Is there any question one can ask which is not answered in the Vedas?
Thank you for the very excellent answers filled with practical tips and all. So, Prabhuji, I have two questions. One is, like we discussed regarding Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya.
Three main books for us.
Yeah. So, like we discussed about Bhagavatam and
Bhagavad Gita.
which category Chaitanya Charitamrita will fall? Like it will be Purana or it will be Vedas? Like which category will fall?
Okay, actually, Chaitanya Charitamrita, because now if you see Vedas and Puranas originally written in Sanskrit, generally what happens, Mataji, for Sanskrit, to read the Sanskrit, people have to be acquainted with this grammar and other things also. But later, in the common language, this is developed. So that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita is talking about Lord Chaitanya in a Bengali, simple Bengali. And even though Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, you know, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is an expert in Sanskrit. He has written one book actually in Sanskrit. It's called Govinda Leelamrita. Even though it's written in the Sanskrit, but this book he written in Bengali so that everyone can understand what is actually the mission of Lord Chaitanya, mood of Lord Chaitanya. That is the reason. So now if you ask from the concept perspective, because it is a Chaitanya Charita, Amrit, which is actually the life story of Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his interaction with the devotees, I would say definitely it comes under that. But we don't categorize them as a Purana because it is written much, much later.
And the second question is, you mentioned like mind has three functions: thinking, feeling, and willing. Can we discuss some example and like let's say book discussion is going on. In that, how to put these three things? Like what should be our feeling, what should be our thinking, what should be our willing? So can we categorize this?
Mataji is asking a good question. Okay, so thinking, feeling, and willing. So today, because we were discussing about this point that realization is more important than parrot-like chanting, and service cannot be robotic service. That can be avoided only when mind is also engaged. So mind is engaged means what? Thinking, feeling, and willing should be engaged in the service of the Lord. What can we think? What can we will? What can we feel? What can we will when we are at home? So I should go out for the book distribution and I should make a willing. So that means I am making practical plans for what? To take the books, to plan, to go out. That comes under the willing category. So now we are on the streets. What can we think and what can we feel for the Lord? What can we think? So mind says no one is taking book. I don't know why I am here. My Bhakti Vriksha leader has Of course.
No one
Where
is
is
seeing
the-
the book, Prabhu.
Huh?
That is the right thing. No one is seeing the book.
Actually, the thing is, no one is noticing me only. That is the major concern. No one is even looking at our stall only. That is so we are frustrated. So now what we have to think? See, I am a servant of the Lord. My only business is what? To do the service. I am a servant of the Lord. My only business is to serve the Lord and to work for His pleasure. By remembering this verse, Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, Nacha tasmad manusheshu kaschin me priyakrittama bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priyataro bhuve. Yes, Krishna is telling anyone who distributes this knowledge to my dear devotees, what will happen? He will become dear to. We can think, oh, I want to become dear to Krishna. Yena kena prakarena, I should become dear to Krishna. I planned for 1 hour, 2 hours to be on the streets. Let me not go back within the time frame. Yes, we have to plan, but within the time frame, I should not get frustrated and go back, exit the war field. That I can think. But the feelings, what can we feel? So actually, what can we feel? Every living entity is connected to the Supreme Lord. They are all rotting in the material world because they are disconnected from Krishna. I have not yet talked about the feeling. So the feeling of that compassion, that actually, what feeling? That Krishna is eagerly waiting and is anxious to bring his living entities back to the spiritual world. So now, since Krishna is anxious, it's a feeling. Anxiety is a feeling. So since Krishna is anxious, let me be anxious to give that message. Of course, there will be some more feelings also. What can also we feel that we can remember from the Krishna's wonderful pastimes that you see Krishna's wonderful pastime that like no in one verse in Bhagavad Gita also is that Goptaram Yajnatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhrudam Sarva Bhutan. Krishna is telling I am the best well-wisher. And from Bhagavatam also we know that Krishna is the best well-wisher. He is providing all the necessities to all the living entities. But I am so ungrateful that I never look at him only. He's supplying everything. I don't look at him. And rather I say that whether God exists or not. So that feeling of compassion, that like um, that feeling of anxiety for the Lord, that feeling of sharing the message of the Lord. So those are the some of the things, Mataji. However, even if you ask mother what feelings you feel for the child, any mother can tell any feeling, not love. We're talking about the feeling. The combination of the feelings is the love. What mother feels about the child. So now, similar way, when Krishna belongs to us, if you have this thing, Krishna belongs to me, I belongs to Krishna. Just like a mother feels for the child, I feel for Krishna. My Krishna should become glorious. This is the feeling. My Lord has to become glorious in this entire creation. As a servant, this is my service. Okay, any other questions? I think it's already over. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha, sindhubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavibhyo. Srila Prabhupada ki, Vaishnavanda ki.